Okay, so once you're done applying makeup, you're gonna need to do just a tiny bit of maintenance to keep your equipment working flawlessly. So if you're using your empty AirPod Pro, we just need to clean it out. Now, there are two types of cleans that I'm gonna refer to here. There's a quick clean and there's a storage clean. And the reason that I want to talk about both is because the quick clean is something that you actually can use during the application. You would use the quick clean when you're moving from, let's say, a darker shade to a lighter shade, or perhaps from something with reflective pigment like a highlighter to something without a reflective pigment, for example, a foundation shade. And the quick clean is just that. It's clean quickly. So all we're gonna do is spray the product, which would be any of the makeup that you're using, fully out of the AirPod. The way that you're going to do that is grab a tissue and you're gonna turn your TEMPTU air on high. The reason for that is we need as much air pressure as possible to push the product out of the pod for this step. And we're gonna aim downwards to let gravity help us a little bit. You're gonna pull back the soft touch control and spray into the tissue until no more makeup comes out. Then you can go ahead and turn it off. We're gonna go ahead and have a few drops of cleaner added to the inner well. Grab your cleaning brush. Now, this is very important what I'm about to say to you. Please do not use a Q-tip or cotton swab when cleaning your airbrush. The cleaning brushes are very useful. We're gonna go ahead and get in there and swish it around and actually very gently aim towards where that needle enters into the front of the pod. There's a little hole that it passes through into the needle chamber. You wanna get in there with those bristles to really loosen up any of the pigment in there. And then wipe it off. Grab your cleaning pot or a tissue and turn it on and pull that soft touch control back until you've emptied the formula out. Now, this is the one time that I'm going to tell you, you can turn it on high and you can pull that soft touch control all the way back. However, during application, you won't ever hear me say that. Okay, you should be ready. That's a quick clean. You should be ready to go ahead and add your next color. Here's how you do a storage clean. And what I mean by that is this pod is going to go in storage after this session. So I need to make sure it is squeaky clean. So this is a little bit more than a quick clean. I usually will follow the same guidelines as a quick clean, but I'll take it a lot further and make sure that I clean until it sprays clear onto my tissue. That's how I know that there's no more makeup in there that could potentially dry inside any of this pod and cause future issues. Let's go ahead and show you what that would look like. We're gonna go ahead and do a little bit of cleaner in there again. And you're either gonna grab your cleaning pot or a tissue. When I'm going into a storage clean, I like the final thing I do to be in a tissue so that I can truly see it spraying clear. However, this final step, I would recommend a quick back bubble. And when back bubbling, it's just gonna create almost a cyclone motion inside this pod, really gonna help loosen up any of that pigment that could be dried to the inside parts that we can't get to. So let's gently take a tissue over our finger and gently plug the opening where the needle is. This is going to back up the airflow. We're gonna be on a low air setting here. And very carefully pull back on that trigger. Very carefully. It could spit out at you, and this would be a really good time to potentially use the clear cap that the pods come with. So if you want, just close that up, and it's still bubbling in there, you're just not making a mess. Okay, now when I spray this, it should be spraying clear and no more makeup is coming out. That's how you know you're ready for storage. Now, I do get asked, can you store the TEMPTU air with the pod attached? And my response to that is if it's going to be just like stationary on a countertop, that'd be fine. But if you're gonna actually be moving around with this equipment in a kit, I would go ahead and disassemble it. Push that button, crank down very gently on the front of the AirPod Pro to pull them apart. I do recommend that you store these pods with the tail cap on so that you can protect any of these moving parts that are exposed without the cap. And go ahead and store them in any way you choose. However, I choose the Pro Organizer, and I do store all of my pods with needle end up. When you are done spraying with your pre-filled AirPods, we do recommend a few special hints for storage. The first one would be always, always, always close this plug. Please do not forget that. Go ahead and really push down on it so it's nice and sealed, okay? And then I do recommend storing it with the tail cap on, but there's a little surprise in here for you. This right here inside the cap, I'm untaping it, is a cleaning tool. So before they go into storage, you may find that there's a little bit of overspray in the nozzle area. And a very easy way to clean that is this cleaning tool. And very gently, we're just gonna slide that over the needle and give it a little twist. And that should help clean any debris out of the way so that it's ready to go for the next usage. Then I'm gonna go ahead and replace that tail cap once it's plugged. And my recommendations for storage would be storing it flat on its back, on its side, or on its belly, or stand them all with needle end up, not down.